Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Easter Monday edition of Thought of the Week. I hope you've had a good Easter, a lovely Easter, and the sun's been shining. It's just beautiful. Although I think it's going to be colder today. Well, I didn't do any thoughts for the day last week, but one or two things happened, and I'll tell you a story. And of course, it inevitably involves my wife Mavoreen. Anyway, she's applying for an Irish passport. It's a long story, but which I won't go into. But so she needed a photograph for this passport. So she asked me if she would, if I would go down with her to the local co-op where they've got a photo booth and help her to sort out getting a photograph done in there. So we went down and set it all up for her. I obviously couldn't be in the photograph with her, and reminded her that she shouldn't smile and she should just keep straight looking at the camera. And so she put the money in, she pressed the button, the flashes went. I was stood outside, the flashes went. Then she came out and we waited for the photographs to appear. So we waited, and then click, 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 all that whirring noise that happens, and the photographs appeared, and we looked at them, and there was Mavoreen, resplendent in her face mask. So she'd forgotten. The mask had been so part of our lives, as all of our lives, hasn't it, when we're out and about, and she'd forgotten to take the mask off for her passport photographs, which just wouldn't do, would it? You imagine it sending the application to the Irish passport office. Yeah, but those masks that we've got so used to, I suppose they are relatively new, aren't they, that we have to go around with masks, even though we've got used to them. But we have other masks as well, don't we? We wear emotional masks, and like the physical ones, we get so used to wearing them that we forget that we've got them on. And we use them, don't we, to protect ourselves, not from disease, but in a sense from each other. And these masks might not be obvious, but we do use them constantly. You know, someone asks us how we are, and mostly we'll say, "Oh, we're fine," even though we might be falling apart inside. And we post photos, don't we, on social media that make others envy our lives. People look as though they've got perfect lives, and other people look at them and think, "Oh, I wish my life was like that." And it might be that chaos is raining down on them just outside the frame of that photograph. And we do a masterful job of hiding what's happening beneath the surface of our lives. We've turned keeping others at arm's length into an art form. And we see sometimes that authenticity and openness about our issues, we see them as signs of weakness or neediness, and we fear being exposed. So we keep our masks up, we talk with others, we chat with our family members, and sometimes we even share beds with our spouses without ever sharing what's really happening under the surface, either spiritually or emotionally. And we pretend things are fine, and we choose to struggle through on our own. We can think that we have to face it all alone because of our fear of being seen to be vulnerable. But that isn't God's design for our lives. We're not meant to live in isolation. And we've talked about this before. Our need for community is built into our spiritual DNA. Look at the Garden of Eden. God recognized that it wasn't good for man to be alone and gave him Eve. And throughout the Old and New Testaments, we see the story of God working through his people, not just simply as individuals. We're actually wired to do life together, but authentic intimacy can't happen if we keep our masks up, keep our masks on. We can't hide and experience true community at the same time. But removing that mask takes courage. It's a brave and difficult thing to do. It means opening up and facing that ingrained fear of rejection. So, how do we take our masks off? Well, firstly, we don't have to keep our masks on with Jesus. In fact, we can't keep our masks on with Jesus. Well, we can, but he sees beyond them. He knows our faults. He knows our failings. He knows our weaknesses, our fears, and he sees beyond them. He loves us where we are, where we've been, and where we will be. And we can be totally vulnerable before him. But we can also choose to be vulnerable and model that vulnerability to open the way for others to feel safe, to show and share their own vulnerability. And when we get over that fear of being fully known, we can get to experience the joy of being fully loved. And Jesus knows us fully, and we are fully loved by him. When we choose to be vulnerable with others, we invite others to do the same. And not only do we get to experience personal freedom, but we serve others by offering the same. And as we are living in this season of physical masks, maybe it's time for us to take off the emotional and spiritual ones. We need each other, and we need Jesus more than ever. Let's have the courage to be vulnerable and transparent, so that others can do the same without fear. Amen. Well, you might notice I'm in a different room to what I'm normally in the clutter of my study. I'm in the process of moving my study into another room. It's taken a long time, and I'm hoping to keep this room a little bit tidier. So anyway, look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you on Thursday. Take care, enjoy the rest of the week, and keep safe. God bless. Bye-bye.